So while everyone is waiting for Black Panther and Infinity War and Ant-Man and the Wasp, it can be easy to forget that there's actually a whole other corner of the MCU on the small screen. Besides the Netflix shows, there's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Runaways, and Inhumans. I'll talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 4 and 5 in another video sometime. If you want the short version, yeah, it's pretty fun. But today, I want to talk about those other two. With Runaways, I'm not going to spoil anything, because I suspect a lot of people haven't watched it yet, and I don't want to ruin anything if you plan to. Although, I will say, I will be talking about a few minor plot points in it, so if you want to go into that completely fresh, maybe just don't watch this. With Inhumans, yeah, I'm just going to go full spoilers, because if you wanted to watch it, you already have, and if you're considering it, I'll just save you the time. Don't watch it. Also, if the audio quality sounds slightly different in this video, it's because I'm trying out a new mic. So if you love it, let me know. If you hate it, let me know. And if you're indifferent, just enjoy the video, I guess. Okay, there are time codes to the different reviews down below. Let's get into this, starting off with Marvel's Runaways.
No matter what we are, we can't let our parents keep getting away with this stuff.
We cannot let anyone undermine what we're doing.
Now, a little background here, I had no idea what this was before watching it. I've never read the comic, I barely knew it was even coming out. But because I want to stay up to date with the MCU, I checked it out, and overall, I really enjoyed it. For one, I suppose this is more of a credit to the comic book, but I love the premise of this. If you don't know, the very basic premise is a group of friends who've fallen out, find out their parents are supervillains, and in this weird cult thing, and the kids have to come together and stop them. That's a great idea. It also sounds like it could kind of be a more kid-friendly, almost sky-high type thing, which is what I initially suspected. And while there are elements of that, it's not really for kids. It's not exclusively adult either. It's very heavily teen-focused. At first you think, maybe it's a kid thing, and then they throw an attempted rape in there, and you're like, oh, never mind. It's for people the age of the characters in the show, basically. And in that sense, it succeeds. The cast and characters are great from both the parents and the kids. Although they don't really look like 15 to 16-year-olds, all of them are great, and really no one is just kind of forgettable or average. Often, in an ensemble like this, there's one who you're just like, oh yeah, and then there's that guy. But no, here I thought every performance was good, and each character was well-written, unique, and interesting enough to help them stand out. I especially liked Chase, which is odd, because at the start I thought he was the one I would like the least. I wasn't a huge fan of some of the writing for Gert. Like, I get it, that's her thing, she's so over the top with this stuff. And while it got better, at a point towards the start, it just felt so stereotypical and just like a high school cliche that I wasn't a big fan of it. Overall, the kids felt a little generic at the start, like they're kind of just typical high school movie, TV show stereotypes, and the show in general can feel a little generic initially. But as the show progresses, they get more developed. The teens also feel like real teens most of the time, and their interactions are fun and believable. Because they're so different, they really play off each other well. The romances that build here are also believable and not totally cliche all the time, which was refreshing. Oftentimes, these characters are kind of pricks to each other, and sometimes the romances and love triangles that build are ridiculously and stupidly complicated. But as a teenager, I can say that's realistic. A lot of the times, teenagers are just kind of pricks to each other, and a lot of the time, the romantic stuff is stupidly complicated. So I enjoyed that these actually felt like real teens. As far as the parents, again, the acting is pretty stellar all around, and they were decently layered characters. That kind of showed for me how this is a step above what it otherwise could have been, by having it not be totally black and white. Like, the parents are in this weird cult, yeah, but not all of them are evil. Some are actually really likable, and some are unlikable and then get redeemed, or interesting to watch. I know they sound like basic character premises, but I just felt, considering how many characters there are, it was impressive how well balanced it was. The show is quite well shot. Visually, it's not anything insane, but the way it's shot kinda sets it apart from the other stuff in the MCU. In general, it just feels like a new thing for that universe. For the most part, it doesn't feel like anything else that's happened in this world. The music is pretty good, especially that opening theme music with that synth. The footage is fairly generic, but I actually didn't skip that intro ever, which I normally do with most shows, just because I love that music so much. Something I really enjoyed with this show is how it balances the superhero stuff with the normal character stuff. It starts out very kind of real-world feeling, and then takes a sharp turn into more magical superhero stuff. And I really like that. It gets pretty crazy with powers and magic and dinosaurs and all that, but it didn't feel super tonally inconsistent. It felt more interesting, having a pretty normal world, and then suddenly, bam, all this weird supernatural stuff. As it goes, more fantasy aspects are added, but the personal mysteries and dramas also continue to unravel, and for the most part, it's pretty fascinating to watch. In terms of all that superhero stuff though, action-wise, there isn't much here, but when it's there, it's pretty good. And effects-wise, again, not too many, especially towards the start, but when they are there, yeah, pretty great. One character in particular, who I won't spoil here, has a very special effects heavy power, and it actually looks really awesome. However, I gotta come back to this. The best part of this show isn't the crazy superhero stuff. For me, it was the character stuff that I found more intriguing. The directions this goes in, and how characters' alliances change as more information comes out and the mystery gets deeper, it's great. Because of the relationships these characters have with each other, that being either friend or parent-child, it's a unique take on something that could have just been more standard. But it's not all perfect. It can be a little slow and meandering sometimes, like even though it's only 10 episodes, there's a bit of moving around in circles here, and sometimes it becomes more of a background show while I do other stuff. While the plots are interesting, there are some plots that felt kind of poorly woven into the main narrative. Like they set up a big thing with Alex's dad early on, and then it kind of just disappears for a while until the end, and that felt kind of sloppy. Also, while I like the characters, some of the subplots are just not all that interesting. There's quite a bit of adultery drama with the parents, and at points, it's just kind of boring, and I sort of just wish we'd get back to the kids. Some visual effects also don't look amazing, like this dinosaur sometimes looks great, and then sometimes looks terrible. A few emotional moments don't really hit in the way I think the show intended, in particular one towards the end involving Molly. There are also just specific lines that are bad. Like there's a very Fant Four Stick Suicide Squad moment where a character's like, "What are we, some kind of runaways?" or something to that effect. Alex at one point says the line,
"Wow, that is one deep asshole."
Did anyone read that line out loud? And while there are actually a lot of pretty funny moments, a few jokes fall flat. I can't remember what this is specifically, but in my notes next to some jokes fall flat, I just wrote Kardashian, so I guess you'll know that when you see it. There are other very minor nitpicks I have here, like how Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton apparently both exist in the MCU, despite there being President Ellis for when Obama would have been in office. What's up with that? But that doesn't really matter. My main two complaints are, 1, the ending was kind of anticlimactic and felt more like a setup for Season 2, and while I'm sure Season 2 could be really cool, there wasn't a really big payoff here, and it was just kind of unsatisfying. And my second point is a pretty big spoiler, so if you don't want to know about that, you can pause and skip to this point in the video. Also in this section, I'm going to be comparing it to Defenders, so if you haven't seen that and don't want that spoiled, yeah, also click to this point in the video. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, okay. So for most of this is kind of more of a low-stakes personal story for these characters, and I quite like that. But then at the end, it's revealed that the bad guys are actually doing this way bigger operation with digging and causing cities to collapse and that kind of stuff. And 1, that reveal was a bit disappointing, and it felt kind of like jumping the shark for what the show had otherwise been. And 2, considering these are technically part of the same franchise and came out not too far apart time-wise, am I the only one who finds it weird that this is a very similar plot to the plot of The Defenders? Like, there's a mysterious secret organization who are weird and mystical, and are digging under a city, which in turn will cause earthquakes and tons of damage. Plus, there's a plot device involved that prevents or reverses the aging process. Maybe that's a nitpick, but I just think it's weird that just a few months later, we've got another secret society digging under a city plotline in an MCU show. Speaking of which, as far as connections to the larger MCU, this has pretty much nothing. There's that news station that goes around this universe, that's pretty much it. But you know what? I like that. The fact that this totally unrelated side story is happening in this universe and has nothing to do with Thanos or Iron Man or whatever, it makes this world feel so much bigger and just more deep, like a real universe. And it also makes it accessible for non-MCU fans. So they can just watch it and enjoy it as a show, and fans of the MCU can watch it and occasionally think, oh, it's kind of fun that this is all happening while Captain America's in hiding and Thor's off somewhere fighting the Hulk. Overall, Marvel's Runaways is a really cool premise with a pretty good execution. The characters and acting are what keeps this together, the tone and style make this feel unique in the MCU, and although the pacing isn't perfect and there are some inconsistencies in quality, it's overall quite entertaining all the way through. Would I watch a season 2? Probably. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. Okay, now let's talk about the other show, Marvel's Inhumans. Oh boy. And yeah, full spoilers here. You've been warned. I'll be honest, I don't generally like to just go out and hate on stuff on this channel, because I realize a lot of people put a lot of time and work into these things. So, of course, I'm still going to be balanced, but yeah, this is not a good show, and I'm not going to lie about that. But hey, let's start with the positives, because despite what you may have heard, this is not actually the worst thing ever created. It's pretty close though. I actually really like Black Bolt in this. Sometimes unironically, because the actor seemed like a decent choice for the character, and despite not being able to talk, it was actually somewhat interesting to watch. And then sometimes ironically, because of the limitations of not being able to talk, so him always having to do very over-the-top faces to get his emotions across was amusing. Also, his stuff on Earth initially wasn't terrible. I quite enjoyed his Tom Cruise-esque Muppet run. Ramsay Bolton, the most evil man in the universe, His character isn't super well written, but I thought he did an okay job, and there were a few moments where I was like, hey, that's kind of an interesting direction to take this character. I mean, it's pretty cliche, but it's more interesting than the other stuff that's been happening. Some visual effects are okay. The giant dog looks pretty good sometimes. Some bullet stopping stuff looks kind of cool. I liked the rock face man. I enjoyed the little title sequence music. The first 2 episodes where they were trying to get that IMAX money, some of those shots look pretty nice. And this is more of a credit to the MCU, but I liked when the Inhumans went to Earth. People knew what they were somewhat, or at least weren't insanely surprised to see them. Like, oh, you have goat legs. Well, we've seen weirder stuff. That's like the one cliche the show avoided, and it really just wouldn't have made any sense if it hadn't. And that's the good stuff. Now for everything else. Firstly, the rest of the cast and characters. They range from okay to below a high school play level of acting. Especially the yellow dress girl, whose name I can't remember. The character's also not great, or good, really. They're either not very well written, or compelling, or funny, or interesting. They just fall into cliches and tropes, and some of them are just flat out unlikable. Like this guy. The whole time, from like the first thing he says to the very end when he's supposed to have learned his lesson or whatever, I was like, you're just a prick. Like through and through. In terms of writing and dialogue, yeah, this is also terrible. This show has every cliche you can imagine, from most of the stuff the villain does, to the fish out of water stuff with the Inhumans on Earth. And none of it is funny either, with Medusa talking to an ATM machine, or this dude not knowing how bras work. It's like, we get it. We've seen this before. I can forgive cliches, just the rest of the show has to be not awful. And the show is just so boring. The plot is uninteresting, the characters aren't engaging. Unlike Runaways, I wasn't interested in any of the drama. There's a subplot about politics in their moon city and how the caste system works, and it's so boring. There's also a plot about this one woman who works for NASA, and that's probably the most boring subplot of all. Dialogue-wise, it's either very generic or hilariously bad. Like, there's some romantic dialogue in here that's Star Wars prequel level bad. The twists here aren't surprising at all. In fact, everything is very predictable. Like, not just plot lines, but also scenes. Like, oh, I wonder if the yellow dress girl is gonna say something against Maximus here. What a surprise. Any attempts at emotional scenes also don't work here. They're either unintentionally kind of funny, including some flashbacks, or they're ruined by just the worst music choices. Also, this is a very small thing that I just found kind of odd, but is there a producer who worked on this who is Hawaiian? Because there's a considerable amount of weird Hawaiian pride stuff in this. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm sure Hawaiian people are lovely, but at points this almost felt like an ad for Hawaii, which just added to the weirdness. The storylines also get very repetitive. Maximus is sad about being human, Black Bolt wants to find his wife, etc. For each character, it's the same thing going again and again. This is only 8 episodes and it still feels too long. Also, you don't buy the relationships that grow here. Like, there's a part where this unlikable character asks this woman if she trusts him, and she's like, yes. No, you don't. You just met him. You wouldn't trust him with your life? And also, this satyr guy is talking to these surfers at one point, and he's like, you guys feel like a family to me. What? How? You just got here. It's worse than Suicide Squad, to be honest. At this point in the review, I'd like to take a break and formally thank the game Super Mario 3D Land for the Nintendo 3DS for helping me get through this really boring show. Playing that and having Inhumans on in the background, I think, is the only way I could have gotten through this. Alright, back to the review. The writing is also bad in the sense that it basically spits in the face of the show don't tell rule. There's pretty much nothing about the storytelling here that is subtle. Everything is very on the nose and just said to you. There's nothing that's really left up to interpretation or told visually. It feels quite lazy. There's some moments that are so bad they're kinda hilarious, which I did appreciate since it broke up the boringness of everything. Speaking of which, one of the things I liked the least about this, and also just found so strange about it, is the plot. Like, you have these superheroes with awesome powers who live on the moon with their own society. There are so many very interesting things you could do with that. And you send them down to Earth to walk around Hawaii for 8 episodes, fighting drug dealers and police officers and that kind of stuff. It just kind of baffles me that this is the story you go with something where you could do so much more. At this point, we've had crazy stuff in the genre. Hell, even in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the show that started as guys in suits on a plane. They're now in space fighting aliens. I just thought this had potential to be something different, and it was totally squandered. It's so bizarrely just not interesting. I mean, you can make anything good, so sending the Inhumans to Earth could have been cool. It just wasn't executed well. And who knows, if they'd tried something crazier, maybe it also would have been terrible, because the stuff that's not on Earth is also pretty boring here. I just think at least it would have been more entertaining. CGI-wise, besides some decent effects, this is pretty weak. The show on the whole also just looks cheap. The costumes, when they're there briefly, look like Comic-Con cosplay, and a lot of the sets just look like sets. I know everything can't be Game of Thrones, but just a bit more than this. The action scenes are horrible and hilarious in this. Basically, everything that could be bad about an action scene, this has. Close-ups, quick cuts, unnecessary slow motion, terrible choreography. Like, really terrible choreography. Like, worse than Iron Fist choreography. You can hide terrible choreography with camera work, but there are some shots in here where it's just painfully obvious that no punch is connected. Plus, quite a few of the action scenes are set to music that doesn't fit the scene at all, and just takes you out of it. A lot of these feel like really bad action scenes from the early 2000s. Also, in general, the editing is just really bad on the show. Some stuff cuts way too quickly, some scenes just end very abruptly. At points, it's very poorly put together. Sometimes it felt like it was edited by someone who has never edited something like this before. Unlike the Netflix Marvel stuff, and even a bit of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., this has no blood, and feels totally dry and sanitized and TV-friendly. There's a part where some guy gets shot in the face, and besides the bad editing, yeah, no blood. Sound effects are also hilariously bad. They actually have stock punching sound effects in the action. At one point, I kid you not, I'm pretty sure Maximus falls down, and they used that boom sound effect from every terrible Vine ever. You know the one. Even if that exact sound effect wasn't used, the fact that I think it's very plausible it could have been should tell you something about the sound design in this show. This whole thing I just find so bizarre. The fact that this was made by Marvel. Marvel. Billions of dollars, biggest franchise of all time, Marvel. Made something this terrible. It's so strange. Most of this is either really bad or just super generic. There's hardly anything that's actually unironically good in this, and coming from the MCU, that's sort of insane. When it's not awful, it's just really bland. Also, this is totally breaking the flow of the review, but I just remembered this and forgot to put it in earlier, so I'll just say it now. I really wish Black Bolt used his powers more. Like, I think he uses them 3 times in total on the show. Once in a flashback, once by accident, and once at the very end to break some rocks. He never does anything cool with it, and considering how much they built it up, that's kinda disappointing. On the whole, yeah, Inhumans sucks. I've talked about a ton of reasons why, and honestly, there's a bunch of other stuff that I just didn't mention for the sake of time. You get it. It's really bad. I wouldn't recommend you watch it. It really makes you appreciate the more average Marvel stuff. Like, I've complained about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Defenders before, but they are so much better than this. Even Iron Fist, I would say. So yeah, there's not going to be a season 2 for this, and even if there was, I wouldn't watch it. This is probably the worst thing to ever come out of the MCU. I'll give Inhumans a 3 out of 10. So those were my thoughts on the Inhumans and Runaways. What did you think of these? Let me know all of your thoughts down below in the comments. While you're at it, be sure to like this video, check out my Instagram and Twitter at BHL_Hudson. Check out this podcast about movies and TV and whatnot I do every other week with a friend of mine. It's called the Poorly Planned Podcast. Next week we're actually trying something a little different, but I'll talk about that more later. But yeah, the previous podcasts are still there, and it'll be back very soon. Don't worry. And subscribe for more videos like the one you just watched. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.